to shoot her in the hand with her spear that had her spear finger, and in the palm of that hand was her heart, and one of the warriors trained his arrow, drew back, and hit her in the hand, and it killed her. So the chickadee then gained protection from the Cherokee people. They called it the truth teller.
In the paranormal war room, the legends arise. We're diving deep down where the truth never lies. Diving deep down where the truth never lies. Unravel the mysteries, let the stories unfold. This beat, these tales are daring and bold.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Paranormal War Room. I'm your host Corky, and I'm joined tonight by my buddy Adam Cook. Man, he's the local historian on Appalachian folklore, and we're just going to get into a good conversation and talk about all that cool stuff tonight. So, Adam, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Man, I'm great. There's the first thing I want to ask you about, and I've been hearing a lot about this over the last few days. But according to the Appalachian, mountains that we live in around here, you're not supposed to whistle in the woods. Tell me why, man.
I've heard that my entire life, but I always heard it. You weren't supposed to whistle at night, in particular. In the
Right.
woods, I guess it was okay, but you weren't supposed to whistle at all at night. Like my grandmother would throw things at us if we whistled at night. Like she was highly superstitious. She was a Christian woman, but she still had a very distinct superstitious streak that might have came from being native, might have came from just being a mountain. But she said it drew evil, like it attracted evil. Like they would hear the whistle and be attracted to it. So she was really adamant that you didn't whistle at night. Like she'd throw things at you. Like whatever's handy,
Really?
she'd chuck it at you. Yeah, she was real smack you in the mouth. Where if you were close, she'd hit you. If you weren't, she'd throw something at you. She was really adamant about it.
That's great,
No.
man. When I started looking into this, because I knew I wanted to do a show about all the crazy stuff that goes around, all these mountains and stuff we live in here. And I kept seeing this, don't whistle, whatever. And I said, well, that's the first thing I'm going to ask him about is why we're not supposed to whistle. And I figured it'd have something to do with, calling in the evil or something like that.
Yeah, it drawed evil. Yeah.
Well, shoot, man. You know all about this stuff. What's your favorite thing to talk about when we talk about Appalachian folklore? What's your number one thing you like to talk about?
The number one thing I like to talk about is just I grew up with hearing old men tell these legends, and a lot of people, I see a lot of it on TikTok and a lot of these other social medias. They'll talk about Wendigos, which Wendigos were more of an Algonquin, Canadian, northern United States kind of a I guess cryptid creature. They weren't really talked about in the southeast region where we live. I've heard of Wendigos in the north around the Great Lakes, the Midwest and things, but the Cherokee never had a thing like a Wendigo. But we did. We were not without our monsters. There are several at Stonecoat, Spearfinger. I grew up my entire life just scared to death I was going to run into a Ravenmocker one day, which was a Cherokee witch who would eat people's hearts. So
Dang,
I mean, we
man,
weren't without our monsters. We had them. It's just they weren't what I hear a lot of people talk about nowadays. And there's certain crossovers and things of that nature, but I never heard of a Wendigo till I was in my late mid-30s. Or I
Let me
may have
ask you
heard it,
something.
but not around here.
What is a Wendigo? Can you describe it for us?
Can you repeat that? I think I had a glitch on my end.
What is a Wendigo? Can you explain to us what that is or what it looks like?
Yeah, so Wendigo was like a deer, elk kind of creature who was mostly skeleton. Yeah, and they represented cannibalism and just a lot of things that were evil. And the Algonquins believed, yet again, if you whistled or, answered your name, if you heard somebody say your name in the dark and you answered it, it's one of them drawing you in. And they believed that they would eat people and reap their souls. So it's a scary thing. It just wasn't native to the southern tribes around here,
And
like the
this is the
Cherokee.
Wendigo. Looks like a skeleton deer.
Sorry, I had another glitch. You care to repeat that?
And it said it's the Wendigo. It kind of resembles a skeleton deer, and it comes to eat your soul.
Yeah, and it was
Man,
bipedal, so it walked on its back legs.
bro, that is
Which
terrifying, man.
yeah, if I see a deer skull walking on its hind legs, I figure it's coming after me for being a deer hunter. So I've got a lot to answer for. So it scared me if I was out there.
Well, that would scare the bravest man there is. You go to the
Yeah,
woods
I'm-
and you see a deer walking on his hind legs. That's a skeleton. I'm out the door, buddy. I'm going back
yeah,
to the
I'm
truck.
I'm out. I'm out, and I'm firing rounds down range as I run.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Well, the big question is, Adam, since we're going to talk about stuff like the Wendigo, what about Bigfoot, man? What do you think? Yay or nay?
So when I was a kid, I wanted more than anything in this world for Bigfoot to be real.
Don't we
Now,
all?
in the age I am now, I've become a skeptic, but I've become a skeptic due to technology. When I was a kid, I thought, well, there's plenty of places out there that we've never seen, uh, really hard to access, things of that nature. And I guess in my older age, with the invention of modern trail cameras, drones, and things of that nature, I'm getting more and more skeptic that they're real. I think something like that did exist at one time. Like I think it's Gigantopithecus is what it was called.
Huh?
Um, and I've heard several arguments for it, and I'm not ever going to say that God can't make something like that or protect
Yeah.
something like that. I'm just saying that I haven't seen enough evidence to fully say, yeah, they're out there or no, they're not. But I have a buddy who's a biologist, and he was talking about studying the Florida panther, and he said if there's anything you ever want to do to find out if an animal is rare, endangered or not, he goes, put a tracking collar on it, and I guarantee it'll get hit by a car. He goes, if you start researching something that because it's rare, he goes, they'll immediately start getting hit by cars. And I've heard a lot of different things, like, they can sense electricity, so they stay away from trail cameras, they stay away from drones, but I mean, I'm a skeptic, but I want them to be real, you know what I mean?
Well, here's my theory on it. If you know what a silverback gorilla is, right? Now,
Yeah.
they're silverback gorillas. There's thousands of these things, right? And we
Right,
didn't discover the silverback gorilla until 1902. Now,
right.
that's not current modern times, but it's relatively modern
It's
times.
yeah, yeah,
So,
100%.
if there's thousands and thousands of silverback gorillas, let's say there's 100 Bigfoot, Big Feet, whatever you want to call them, in the world. What are the odds that we just haven't caught one on a trail cam now? We just haven't, seen one. Well, there's been plenty of people say they've seen them, but if it really is a species there's just not a lot of them, and they are smart enough to stay hidden and whatever. I'm not going to say they're real, but I'm just saying they could be.
And that's a good argument, and also, the Yukon Territory, there are parts of Canada, northern Canada, that man has never seen, and you can fly a drone through
Exactly.
there, that don't mean that you're gonna see everything that's there, and drones
No,
make
it don't.
noise, and if this creature has lived its entire life without being around chainsaws and car horns and, it probably has really, really good hearing. I mean, if you look at a turkey or a deer, they have super good hearing.
Exactly.
So who's to say that this critter don't hear stuff like that and say, "I gotta get the hell out of here," that thing's gonna get
Yeah.
me. but there's
Yeah,
parts of
especially if they're
there's parts of the Yukon we've never seen. So
yeah, and the world's a big place, man. And if you say that, if there is this species and there's only 50 of them, dude, that's the odds are you're never going to see one unless they want. If they're semi-intelligent at all, you're not going to see one unless they want you to see them. Is the way I look at it.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and again, I don't know that the big feet's real or whatever, but man, out of all this stuff we talk about, I really think there's a chance there might be, because we discover new species all the time,
Every
and
year.
who knows what's out there, you know?
Right.
Uh,
And I
I
want them to
guarantee
be
you,
real so bad.
yeah, I do too, and I guarantee you the odds of Bigfoot being real is probably better than a walking skeleton deer. But hey, these
Oh, yeah.
legends come from somewhere,
Yeah. And also, what's remarkable to note about Bigfoot is almost every Native American tribe in the United States
Mhm,
has a story of them.
exactly.
So, and
I just,
and another thing is every Native tribe has a story of a great flood that matches
yeah,
the one from Genesis. So, I mean, I can't discount it. I can't say that it's not because I've seen a lot of remarkable things in the woods. I'm just saying that I wish there was more there.
yeah, yeah. Wish we could spend more time out there looking. There's no
Oh,
telling
yeah.
what you'd come across. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but
Like you said, we see new stuff every day.
we discover new
Oh,
species every day. And
yep.
I don't know if you ever listened to Art Bell, but Art Bell was a nighttime radio host, and he would do shows like this all the time. He's probably the one person that inspired me to actually want to do something like this. And he would take
Yeah.
calls. People would call in, and sometimes they'd tell him crazy crap like they're time travelers or whatever, and he would take time to talk to everybody. But there was one episode when this dude called in, and he called himself Bugs, like Bugs Bunny, and he told this story about how him and his buddies was out in Texas, and this was back in the 70s, whatever, and they were shooting wolves or coyotes or whatever for the fur, whatever it was. And he claimed that they shot two Bigfoot, got scared because they looked kind of, they had human features. So
Right.
they got scared that they were going to be arrested for murder, so they buried them. And he told Art, he said, "I'll give you the map to where they're buried. When I die, my wife has instructions to send you this map, and you can go dig them up, and I'm sure their bones will still be there." And so I'm pretty good at picking out people that are full of crap. And I sit and listen to this whole 3 hour show of this guy talking about that. And I just don't see that he's lying myself. And again,
Yeah.
I can't prove and say Bigfoot's real, but I think this guy was telling the truth. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Especially
whatever
with
come out of it.
covering his.
Yeah, yeah. He described them, right down to every detail on their body, and man, it sounded, if he was lying, God, he was a good liar. I'll put it like that. But if you ever get a chance, you need to look up Art Bell's Bug Show, and it's on YouTube, man. It's about 3 hours long, but you'll sit and listen to every bit of it, and then you'll be thinking, man, is Bigfoot real?
Hey, and like I said, when I was a kid, I would see things, and I want more than anything for them to be real, and I'm still open that the Yukon and stuff like that is vast,
Well, yeah,
so I'm not totally sold that that they don't exist, but I guess because modern technology has made me a bit more skeptical than what I would have been when I was younger.
yeah. Modern technology has definitely made the odds tip in the favor that they're not real, but technology can't explain everything, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. Anything that a person can create, any man-made object can screw up at any time. So,
Yep. If it's made by man, it can mess up. I can promise you
uh,
that.
100%.
Well, I heard you mention the spear finger. That's another cryptid I've heard a lot about, man. Tell us about the
Yeah.
spear finger.
All right. So the legend of Spearfinger, and what's neat about Cherokee legends is it also sometimes there'll be a piece of why something is the way it is today. And I can't remember the Cherokee word for the chickadee, but I'm just gonna go ahead and tell the story and then you know put those in there together. So Spearfinger was a witch, and she lived off of human liver. I mean, she lived off of everything's liver, but she really, really had a taste for human liver. So what she would do is she was a shapeshifter. She would shift into the image of an old granny woman, something you wouldn't really, really be threatened by. And
Huh.
she would sing and she would sing lullabies and draw, children in. Well, she had a finger that was made of obsidian or flint. And what she would do is she would comb the child's hair till they went to sleep, and she'd use her magic or medicine to cut their liver out and then heal the wound, but the liver wouldn't be in the child. And then when they would wake up and go back to their village or their home, you can't last very long without a liver, they'd wind up dying.
Right, right.
And can't remember how it was that she was discovered, but what I do remember is they set a trap for her. The bravest warriors of the Cherokee set a trap for her, and she fell into the trap. And whenever she would get startled or mad or scared, she would turn into her stone, witch form, her
Right.
stone finger witchy form. So they got their bows and arrows and spears and they were trying to kill her, but every time they'd hit her, they'd just break because she had that medicine about her. And then I think it was a crow told them to shoot her in the chest, and that's where her heart laid. And every time they'd shoot her in the chest, their arrows would break. So they grabbed him and threw him in a fire for lying to him.
Oh
And then,
God.
and that's why the crow's black today.
Oh,
And then
okay.
a chickadee lit on a limb and said to shoot her in the hand with her spear that had her spear finger, and in the palm of that hand was her heart. And one of the warriors trained his arrow, drew back, and hit her in the hand, and it killed her.
Huh.
The chickadee then gained protection from the Cherokee people. They called it the truth teller, and it's I think it's the first bird that tells the spring. I can't remember exactly. I wished I'd have wrote more of this down when my grandmother was alive, but
Right.
like a lot of kids that I knew, when they would get a BB gun, they start shooting songbirds. I was not allowed to do any of that. I was threatened with death. So we didn't shoot
Really?
chickadees, we didn't shoot redbirds, which there's a Cherokee story about the redbird, but it don't have anything to do with what we're talking about. Maybe another time we'll get
Right.
into it. But Spearfinger, like hearing that story, especially around a campfire, when you go out at night, it kind of makes you look behind you a lot.
Yeah, the spear finger just sounds freaking creepy. Just the name of it sounds
Yeah.
creepy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And Raven mockers were that way. There were witches that would hang around and wait for people to die, or they'd make people sick so they would die, and then they'd eat their heart.
Dang. Did you say
Yeah, and they
raven
were
mocker?
yes.
Oh, that's another
I'd
cool
have
name. The
to
Cherokee had some cool names, man.
yeah, and Stonecoat, uh, he's the grandfather of all flint rock. So he was made out of flint. And what he would do is he would hunt humans and he'd kill them and eat them. And what he had a staff that he would hold in his hand, and he would hold it up in the air and he'd bring it back down and smell of it, and he would track people using that cane. And they killed him in a real similar way that they did Stonecoat, but by trapping him. But once they trapped him, they rolled a boulder off on him and crushed him, and where his body went is where we get Flint Rock today.
Oh man, that's
There
cool.
was all there was also a story of a Bigfoot, the slant-eyed giant, the Sukaloo. Uh, he could make himself a human form, and he married a girl. And I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember all this. I'd have to go back and reread it. Some of them stuck with me more than the others, but I remember he married a girl, and he had an agreement with her family, and they went back on the agreement, and he roams the woods to this day, which was a Bigfoot. Like if you
Right.
just the story described a Bigfoot perfectly. So there was a lot of stuff like that that went around
Shoot,
just
that's
just
cool,
from the
man.
native. Yeah, and then, there's a lot of old superstitions that you probably, your grandparents might have told you too. You're never supposed to rock a rocking chair with nobody in it.
Yeah, I've always heard that. I've always heard
Yeah,
that.
it invites trouble.
And,
Um,
I've seen that before. I was at one of my friend's house one time, and we come down the hallway, and, of course, he had one of those houses that was always just rumored to be haunted and all that good stuff. But we was just bebopping down the hallway one night, not thinking anything about it, and he always had that creepy rocking chair sitting there in the corner, just begging for trouble. So sure enough, we come down the hallway, look over at that rocking chair, and that sucker is just rocking as fast as it can go. And I promise you, this is no lie, Adam. I looked right at that rocking chair, and it's violently rocking, just violently rocking. And as soon as I looked at it, it stopped on a dime.
dude, not the stopping, but I had almost the same thing happen in reverse. I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting in my buddy's living room and I just got an uneasy feeling. It was for no reason at all. Like there was nothing wrong. There's nothing going on. I just thought, man, something don't feel right. And I looked over at the rocking chair at his house and it just started rocking. I
Yeah, them
called my
rocking. I,
mama.
I won't have
Uh,
one in my house to this day because of that crap.
I've got one on the porch, but if I'm not sitting in it, I turn it upside down and set it down to keep it from
Exactly,
happening.
exactly.
But I told my mom at that buddy's house, I'm like, "You gotta come get me. I gotta get out of here."
Yeah,
I said, "I don't
it's
know
time
what's
to come
happening in this
home.
house. I don't know what's
That
happening in this house, but I don't like it."
That's kind of the same scenario when that happened at my friend's house. I looked at him and said, "Yep, buddy, I'm going home for the night."
Yeah, I'm going to the house. You be careful.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
also, I was told not to go around graveyards at night.
no, I want to hear about this now.
So I was told that sometimes people that weren't think there's something along the lines of there was a heaven, but there was no hell, that people who uh didn't do good enough to get into heaven and wasn't really bad enough to go to hell would sometimes linger on earth and they would stay around their dead body. And what they would try to do is they would try to possess the souls of people walking by. So if you wasn't supposed to walk around the graveyard at night, I don't know what
Dang.
the area of which that person, you know, but my Indian grade's like, "Don't walk around graveyards." And, she said if I absolutely had to take a dog with me, and, she said that dogs were pure-hearted and evil was afraid of them.
Man,
So
I
if you have
believe that. I think dogs are pure, I mean, just
man,
unconditional love. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, they're great, and that made, like, all the sense in the world. Growing up, I did a lot of coon hunting, and we would go out in the middle of the night and just, let the dogs run, and I think maybe because we had dogs with us, we didn't see as much bad stuff as when I was alone walking through the woods. I've seen some wild stuff that I can't explain, and I can't say that it was, and I can't say that it wasn't what I thought or the first thing that came to my mind, but I have seen and heard some odd stuff out in the woods. I mean, made me go back to the truck and go back to the road type of stuff. I've heard somebody call my name 3 miles from the nearest road.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't like that shit at all. So I went right
No,
by
there
it.
ain't no
I
doubt
didn't mean
about
to
it.
cuss, but I didn't mean to cuss, but I didn't like it. I'm like,
Well,
nope,
you're all
nope.
good. You're all good.
I said, I'm out of here. Um, One time I
I
was in
now
the
is that
trees.
one of those things, Adam? If it called your name, was it waiting on you to answer it back? Then it would have got you if you'd have answered it back. Because it seems like I've heard a story like that.
That's exactly what went through my mind. And I thought, and it may have been something silly. It may have been a noise that I heard, but in my head, I heard my name. I'm like, nope. And I just turned
No,
about face and went right back to the truck. I don't even
not
think I went
today,
hunting that day.
buddy.
I was like, nope, nope, not today, Satan. I'm out of here.
Not today. Yeah, I heard you. If I'm ever out in the woods and something calls my name, I'd have shooed. Yeah, back to the truck, son.
Nope. And then one time, now I know I saw a UFO. I can't tell you I can't say that it was a spaceship, but it was unidentified and it was a flying object. And I was sitting in my tree stand and I look up and it looked like a star, but it wasn't dark enough for all the stars to be out. And I thought
Right.
to myself, that must be the northern star because it's so bright. Well, it went, it moved just a little ways, like real quick. It moved and then went and disappeared.
It's
And I
faster
thought,
than
I don't,
anything that we know could move, right?
yeah, like a shooting star. Like when it took off, it was like a shooting star, and it went like it just completely disappeared.
See, there's no doubt in my mind that there's other life out in the universe. You got to be pretty naive to look up and see all those stars and the fact that we know that most of those stars have planets around them. To think that we are unique in life, there just has to be other life out there.
Yeah.
Whether they're visiting us or not, I don't know, but there just has to be other life out there.
Well, to say that there's not other life, I feel is like tying God's hands.
Well, the Bible says God created the heavens and the earth. So,
Yes,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, he's not going to make all this other stuff just to look at night. I mean, it's up there for a purpose.
yeah, 100%. I'm trying to think of some other old folklores
What about
and
skinwalkers? Did the
things of that
Cherokee have
nature.
any?
She was a woman who would every time she'd spill salt, she'd throw a little bit over her left shoulder.
Who was this?
My dad's mother, she's long past.
Okay,
She
okay.
passed when I was about 8. She was a godly woman, a Christian woman. She'd go every time the doors were open, but she still had a very, very superstitious streak about her.
Yeah, most of those old timers did, man.
Yeah, she had she would say that and this has nothing to do with cryptids or anything like that, but she would say, don't talk about fishing. Like if you're going fishing, don't say nothing outside because rabbits will hear and they'll go tell the fish not to bite.
Really? Son.
Yeah, and she said, "Don't let a dog touch your fishing pole because it was bad luck." There's just a lot of
See,
weird things.
now that you've told me that, I'll never let a dog touch my fishing pole again.
And
See, somebody
let's
told me
see.
one time that you never put a hat on the bed, or that's bad luck. And like
Yeah,
30
said
years
that.
later, I will not lay a hat on a bed for nothing.
Yeah. Owls were considered messengers of death. Like
Really?
if you heard one hooting, it was telling you that somebody's gonna die.
Really?
Now, I don't remember like what the specifics were of whether it was gonna be somebody you know or somebody close to you. I think if you saw it and it was hooting, is somebody close to you was gonna die, but if you just heard it, somebody you know was gonna die. But like she believed it.
Owls creep me out, man. They're weird animals anyhow. And
They are.
yeah. But
They
what
really are.
did the Cherokee ever have any legends about the skinwalker? Do you know what a skinwalker is?
I know what a skinwalker is, and that was kind of they share a lot of similar traits with raven walkers.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like the eastern version of raven walkers. We also had a legend of a giant snake that could only like hide in rivers. It could only hide in deep rivers to hide itself because it couldn't go about the land because it'd be too easy to see. So it would hide in rivers.
That would be a big old snake, and there's no doubt in my mind there could be something like that out there.
But yeah, and I mean to hear the native version of it, especially when they describe it, it's not far from being like if you think about it, everybody's seen Nessie and Loch Ness and the humps in its back. I mean, that could have, who's to say it wasn't a giant snake? Almost every tribe had a story about a thunderbird, which was a giant bird that would create thunder and lightning out of its eyes. Um, so yeah, we had a story of a giant hornet that would chew up the sides of the mountains, and we killed it and we cut it into little bitty pieces, and that's where we get yellow jackets today.
Them little freaking things, man.
Yeah,
Yellow
yeah,
jackets.
the little pieces came back to life after we cut it. After we cut the big hornet to pieces, the little pieces came back to life and taunt us to this day.
That's awesome. Uh, I love this subject, man. When you talk about all this folklore, especially with the Cherokee Indians and stuff like that. And you said the Cherokee Indians, they had like a Bigfoot type of tale they would tell,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And I
Did
can
they
get
call
you
it a Bigfoot or did they call it something else?
the Sukalu, TSLUK. I don't know the exact spelling. I have a book, and I can get you the link where the story is. I can get that for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to check that out because I keep going back to Bigfoot because it's the one that fascinates me the most because it's the one that I think's got the most chance of being real. You know, even as far out as it may be, I really think because
Right,
there's too many people see stuff like that. You know.
right. Well, and the tracks. People have found tracks, and tracks don't lie. You can't fake a
Yeah.
giant foot really easy.
And if you do, I'll say this: if you do go out and fake a giant foot, you're a loser. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Why put people through that?
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name. I watched a thing about Bigfoot, and this was like a very well known, very peer reviewed scientist who came out as believing in Bigfoot, and everybody freaked out and like automatically started calling. Well, what's funny is everybody thought he was great and his work was world renowned until he said, I think there might be something like that out there. And then everybody decides that he's a quack. But his studies and all that like stood the test of time.
Well, you know, that's the one of the main problems with mainstream science is if you deviate from the norm at all, then
Yeah.
they're gonna get rid of you. They're gonna tell you you're a quack and then, you know, just ruin your reputation. So most of these guys that are scientists and are brilliant and stuff like that, they're afraid to tell what they really think because it would ruin their career, you know?
Yeah, they essentially get canceled. But
Exactly. Yeah, canceled a good word for it. The new
yeah,
fired.
but I mean, like I said, with the Yukon being as vast as it is, I could see it living in the Pacific Northwest and doing so undetected. I could
Well, you know,
really see
not only do you have the Yukon, you've got what's that place up there in Russia where it's just like vast amounts of snow and
Siberia. Yeah,
Siberia.
Siberia. Yeah.
Now the Expedition Unknown actually went up there and found some pretty good evidence. It actually made national news, but nothing ever came out of it. Of course, it never does. But that was a pretty good episode, and I don't think they call that one Bigfoot. That's more of the Yeti, but I kind of think the
Yeah.
Bigfoot and Yeti is kind of cousins or something like that. You
Yeah.
know, kind of like
Same.
bears and polar bears.
Yeah. And, like I said, I'm not completely out on them, but I mean, in those big, giant areas like the Mongolian steppe, shit, you could ride, walk, whatever you want to for miles and not see anything just forever. But like,
Yeah, and
just,
Alaska's the same way, dude. There's places that you can't
yeah,
even get to unless you fly in there. You know.
yeah. And even then, the trees are so dense that you're not going to see through them, even with a drone. And you
No.
can't get a drone down close enough because the trees are so dense. So, I mean, I'm not completely out.
All I'm saying is there's a chance. That's
There
enough for
is.
me.
There absolutely is a chance. Now, I don't think they're in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, but they could be around, the places we've
Hey,
mentioned.
they might be a couple up on the Appalachian Trail, you know, out there just hiking
There may
around, you know.
they may know how to duck and dodge everything. They've been around long enough.
Yeah, they know all the hiding spots, man.
Ha-
Oh, well,
Have
Adam,
you
you
ever
got
heard of
anything else you want to talk about? Go ahead, buddy.
have you ever heard the comedian Mitch Hedberg?
I believe so. Yeah.
He said, "What if Bigfoot's naturally blurry and we have a million great pictures of him?"
Right. Never thought about that, man.
Uh,
That'd be
um,
funny. One of the wildest theories is he's interdimensional or something like that. I'm not sure I buy that, but a lot of people do.
I've heard that. Kinda like a Sassy the Sasquatch type of deal.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen that Australian cartoon. It's pretty neat. It's pretty funny.
No, I don't think I've checked that one out.
Oh, man, if you get a chance to go on TikTok, he's all over it, and it's pretty funny. Um,
But a funny thing about Bigfoot, though, another thing is there's sightings in all 50 states or all states except for Hawaii. So
they make
we need to give one to Hawaii so they're not left out.
we need to catch one, take it out there, and let it have a luau.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
with Halloween coming up, I know there's a lot of ghost stories that go around.
Yeah.
Especially Brock Holler gets brought up a lot around this time of the year,
Yeah, if
especially when the
anybody
leaves
knows where
start
we
changing.
live, Brock Holler is a legendary haunted little piece of road, on the outskirts of the town we live in. And shoot, do you know the backstory of Brock Hollow? I think we may have talked about it before, but tell us again, buddy.
So, uh, the story that I got, and this was confirmed by a woman who was there, but she was a young girl, like a very young girl at the time, was that this man had been gambling and he started walking down Brock Holler, and they lived at the other end of Brock Holler toward town. And this man knocked on our door and said, "Can you get the sheriff? There's been a murder." And he said, "It's down in the holler." Well, the man said, "I can't just leave my wife and kid here, but I'll do the best I can." So he takes his wife and kid and they go get the sheriff. Well, they bring him back down there, and the man who told them that there has been a murder was the one that they found dead in the holler.
Dang, yeah.
Yeah, and that freaked that man out, and of course it freaked her out and freaked her mom out, and she I know this woman. She's a very godly, very Christian, very sweet woman, and I don't see her lying about this just for shits and giggles.
No, man, that legend has been around here so long. There's got to be something to it. I can tell you, I drove through there one night, for everybody listening, if you could picture this, the old Ichabod Crane cartoon with the
Yes.
headless horseman chasing him down the road. That road reminds me of that cartoon road so much. Exactly what it looks like, a little
Me
windy
too.
road with tall trees on both sides. But anyhow, I was driving down that road one night, and I promise you, dude, I looked in my rearview mirror and something was holding up one of those old timey lanterns, that you would hold up with. It's got like a handle
Yeah.
that the lantern swings from. Followed me all the way to the end of that road. Never will
Ah,
forget it, man. That's one of the only things that ever happened to me because I used to drive through there just trying to get something to happen. But I never will forget when that night that lantern followed me down the whole road. It was crazy.
well, you were probably in high school because I remember I was in the 7th or 8th grade. A preacher was taking his son to school and watched a rabbit jump off that bridge.
Huh.
And he dropped his son off at Englewood School because it's not very far. He turns
Right.
around, comes back. He stops at the bridge to see if the rabbit died. And when he looks over the bridge, they found a dead body from a man from New York.
Oh, are you kidding me? That's a
Yeah,
true
and
story.
that's an absolute true story. That happened to my cousin Ted Watson, was the preacher.
If anybody doesn't know, we live in Tennessee, which is a long way from New York. A
Yeah,
long
exactly.
way.
A long, long way. And
Yeah.
of course, there was rumors after that that the mafia killed that guy and brought him down here and dumped him off. But I thought that's an oddly specific place to dump a body.
Well, I mean, maybe let's go to Englewood, Tennessee, and dump this body off. Yeah, that's kind of odd, but hey, stranger things have happened. You know what I'm saying?
It really has. But and I've heard stories of ghosts and stuff like that all my life. I stay away from places that are supposed to be haunted most of the time, except for Brock Holler because I lived so close to it when I was a kid. I'd go through there, but I tell you this, I wouldn't go through there without a dog with me,
Really,
just to be on the safe
Lord,
side.
sadly. I've been through there so many times, and I've only had that one thing happen. I will tell you a quick story. My grandpa, I never met my grandpa. He passed away before I was born. But there's always in our family, they always told the story. My grandpa would go down there and would drink in the woods there. And there's a big curve inside Rock Hollow there. It's probably the only
There's a
curve
whale
there.
in it.
Is there?
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
even
probably
know
where he
that.
was drinking the water.
Well, he was probably drinking something other than water. I'll say that. But
Yeah.
the story goes is he was in there and something chased him out of the woods, and there's a big embankment there that drops off right there, that curve. He fell down that embankment and broke his leg, and that's the story he always told everybody. How he broke his leg was something chased him through those woods and he fell down that embankment. Now, was that chemically induced? I don't know. But that's the story our family's always told, is something chased the grandpa through the woods and he fell down that embankment and broke his leg. You know.
Yep. And there's been times where I've been inebriated and been scared sober.
Yeah.
So,
especially in the woods, you know.
but yeah. Just going into the woods before daylight just to hunt. To this day, since I was a little kid from all the way up to today, it's creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
Yeah,
got
you
a
never
dog
know
with
what's
you,
going to be in there. But hey, Adam, I appreciate you coming on, man. This has been a great conversation, and I'm sure we'll do it again at some point, man, because I'm always ready to talk about cryptids and Appalachian folklore. He had to teach me how to say that word right. What'd you say? If you say it wrong, something's going to kill you or something like that?
If you say Appalachia, I'm going to throw an apple at you.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get hit in the head with an apple. Yeah, learned something new today because I've been saying it wrong. Luckily, I ain't been hit by no apples or anything like that.
No, you're good. I mean, everybody's got, different ways of saying things. It's no big deal. I just knew that it was that way because it was named after the Appalachian people of South Carolina. Like, there's a very old Native American tribe, and that's where they got the name for it.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, this is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, man. So, you get some more tales up, and we'll have you back on in a few weeks or something like that, man. And we'll talk some more cryptics in the Appalachian woods. How's that sound?
Heck yeah, man. That sounds good to me. If you need anything, let me know.
I sure will. Adam, I appreciate it, man. And for everybody else, we'll see you next week. Bye.
See you.
The unknown awakens, hear the echoes grow loud. We're diving deep, join the curious crowd. In the paranormal war room, we take flight, bringing the spooky vibes, shadows and light. With every beat, the legends we explore, unleashing the spirits. We're ready for more. Aliens striking down like thunder from the skies. Cryptids lurking near, in the darkness they rise. Paranormal tales that will twist your mind. Tune into the mystery, leave the norm behind. In the war room we fight, with the strange insight, unveiling truths in the paranormal war room. We take flight, bringing the spooky vibes, shadows and light. With every beat, the legends we explore, unleashing the spirits. We're ready for more. So hit that subscribe, don't be left in the dark. Join us in the war, let's make our mark.